Ooh, on air. Hi, my name's Amanda Bittaker. Welcome to the February 2016 monthly metrics meeting. So we're getting a bit of a cheer. It's actually been a pretty upsetting month. There's been a lot of chaos and uncertainty, but there are still a lot of really cool projects going on at the foundation, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. So, I don't know where I click. Our agenda. I'll do the welcome. We'll do a review of the Wikipedia 15 celebrations, a community update, strategic planning update, a bit of metrics, a showcase on individual engagement grantees, which is going to be very cool, a product demo, and then finally, at the end, questions and answers. So, celebrations, my favorite part. Our new contractors, interns, and volunteers. Sarah Benson, Adrienne, Kevin, and Ricardo are new there. Our new staff are Sarah Roth, Chuck, Guillaume, Joseph, Chris, and Jaime. Welcome. And also anniversaries. Eric, Joseph, and Tyler have been here 1 year. Karen, Megan, Rachel, and Layla have been here 2 years. Amy, Greg, and Ed have been here 3 years. Mark and John have been here 4 years. And Geoff and Tony have been here 5 years. Congratulations, everybody. You guys rock. Rock. Yeah. And that's it for me. I'm going to hand it off to Heather Walls and Zach McClure. McCoon. Oh, Zach McClure. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
You are.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. Remember January? January was cool. January 15th was really cool. We had a birthday.
Wikipedia Day.
Whoop. Wikipedia Day. So we wanted to talk to you today a bit about the things that happened around the world for Wikipedia Day, things you might have forgotten in the couple of weeks we've had, or things you might not have known. Either way, we want to talk about it.
There have been 15 years of amazing Wikimedians doing amazing things. And the world loves you.
It does. So, as I understand it from Heather, there have been over a year of planning to talk about what Wikipedia and the Wikimedia movement means at 15 years old. And that collective celebration has been referred to as Wikipedia 15. The things that happened on January 15th, 2016 were pretty powerful and pretty extraordinary. We coordinated a lot of these things with the community, with ComCom members, with extraordinary people around the world that had events. And here are some of the things that happened at a top-line level. There were 850 press stories in nearly 80 countries. Incredible. And it was really good news, so we profiled the English language news and discovered that about 81.5% of it was positive, with just 12.4% being negative or inaccurate or misleading. There were 188 community events in 78 countries. There are also 42 pictures of cakes on Wikipedia 15 Commons, so take a look for those, and one extraordinary fondue illustration from Switzerland. On 15.wikipedia.org, the birthday site, there were over 6.5 million visits in the first week, and 1.4 million of those came the first day. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but we proudly actually shorted out Kiwik, so it stopped recording how many people were coming. There's this like amazing chart, up, boom, giant drop. So we can talk more about that. On Twitter, there were over 98,000 unique messages, happy birthday messages, talking about what Wikipedia means to folks. And on the banners that were run on Central Notice for 6 days, there were 1.9 billion impressions across 143 languages. So we were thrilled with that.
Now we'll go over all this again with pictures.
Now we'll show you pictures to explain this in further detail. So here's the press overview. Places where the press picked us up. The US had 142, Russia had 43, China 21.
You're standing in front of the...
Here in a lot of coverage here in South Africa.
Like a weather map.
It's a lot going on here. We're pretty pleased with this. And major shout out to Joe Sutherland for tirelessly putting this together. Actually, if you go on Meta, you can see every article. So we have all 850 logged. You can see what they were about. You can see where they were. I sent one over to Caitlin and Anna in a fundraising that was in the Samoan Times and featured a quote from them. Congrats on that again. And here's a few of the top tier news publications we saw around the world. Again, we have these all logged, but just a really extraordinary set. And ComCom pulled this list together. They told us about the efforts they were doing locally so that we could know these things.
Well, and I'd like to mention that people on our comms team and also people on the comms teams from Wikimedias around the world made this happen. They went out, they wrote stories, they contacted people.
It was awesome. And again, this is the way that that press sentiment broke down. This is just in the English language. We'll definitely call that out. But again, really positive story there. And if you wanted to take a look in on what does negative mean, right? Most of these were concerns about project health, community health, tensions within the movement. And some of them were about level of sophistication and reach, particularly in regions we sometimes call the Global South. On the positive side, we had folks really talking about how this was an extraordinary proof that human beings are generous and collaborative and want to move forward. Some places called this just a defining element of the 21st century, which is, it's not a bad claim.
The banners. You may have noticed them. I had friends that I didn't tell what we were doing come and ask me about them. It was really cool. They were translated by the community into 143 languages, and they also went up like that. 143 languages, you guys. And at one point, Jimmy Wales was on CNN, and they were showing Wikipedia and the banners, and they went by in like Russian? Well, these ones, I think.
Yeah, we had them in Russian and Chinese, which was a great moment because they were trying to. Actually, CNN did a great job and showed us exactly how international the movement is. So they went to other Wikipedia projects and got the banners in other languages. And I just want to thank, again, Joe Sutherland, Joe Seddon for really helping us with these, as well as the community for translating them. It was extraordinary. The only tweak we made on these was we darkened this blue one a little bit. At one point, Aggie called out that it was a little hard to read. Boom, just darkened that a few shades, and it kept going. Here's what it said. Basically, the announcement was simply, Wikipedia is 15 years old. Tell us what Wikipedia means to you. And people did. On the click-through rate, so one thing we were measuring very closely was, are these annoying people? Are these bothering people? What's the fatigue for these? And extraordinarily, we saw that there was very little fatigue. We capped them at about 10 impressions per person. But we found that throughout the process, as you'll see with this pink line, this jagged pink line, our click-through rate was about 0.44%, which is around 3 times higher than other foundation benchmarks we've seen in the past. So that was really powerful for us. And what we were measuring over these 6 days was to see, like, are we having a huge drop-off? Do we need to turn off specific banners or the entire central notice system? And the answer was no. So we were really closely tied into that and really impressed with the way it performed. Heather, you want to talk about some of these events?
Well, I would just be reading off the slide. There are 180 events in 78 countries. India leading, as it often does with us. If you didn't know that, they pretty much kick the ass of everything. So the next slide will show us actually where they were around the world.
Pretty awesome. And there were 8 that were online only as well. So the total count here is 188, 8 online only, 78 countries. And there are those cakes. We had one here as well, but there are really beautiful cakes out there, wonderful configurations. Now the site traffic details, again, we actually broke PWIC, so some of these stats are incomplete, but the birthday site received 6.5 million visits in the first week, and those came from 170 countries and 114 different languages. So we have a fuller report on Meta, and you can dig into this a little bit more. Most of the traffic, 66%, came from mobile devices. So mobile Safari, Chrome Mobile, and Android browser were topping our access points for this. So again, 2/3 coming from mobile devices. And on Twitter, where we received a number of birthday wishes under hashtag Wikipedia 15, we really saw some extraordinary things. We can show you a lot of those because we've captured them. There were folks from everyday Twitter users to people who made Twitter accounts for the first time just to go ahead and tell us what Wikipedia meant to them. When we profiled 2,500 of these are the terms that popped: knowledge, information, world, source, everything, thank. So we felt pretty good about this as well. And you can learn more on Meta, where we have a full set of results as well as our linked 72-page report that goes through all these sections in depth. We have the way our social media accounts performed, the way our blog performed. And again, we set goals for each thing we did. So across all the touch points, we went and looked at how good would good be? What are the previous experiences on banners, on social media publishing? Bless you. And we found great things.
So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, who's next?
Hi. Whoa, lights. Okay. My name is Maria Cruz. I'm Communications and Outreach Coordinator at the Community Engagement Department. There's a lot of people here. I'm here to share a few stories about the amazing work that community members are doing in their outreach Wikimedia programs. So the strategy consultation took place over the course of 4 weeks, and over 550 people took part, discussing 3 main topic areas, which is reach, communities, and outreach. A summary of these conversations is expected tomorrow, and the draft of the strategy is expected on March 4th. Another cool project that has been taking place over the course of a little over a month is the Wikimania Consultation. Here, 119 people discussed what is the shared understanding of Wikimania value and what possible forms it could take to better support our movement. And some of the outcomes are that participants agreed to experiment with the format of Wikimania, and we might be testing to hold this conference every other year, which will allow us to better serve thematic and regional meetups in different parts of the world. And you can find more outcomes of this consultation on its page on Meta. And later, if you click on that link, you can see that as well. And also remember that Wikimania Esinolario is coming up, so please check with your manager if you have to attend and submit your attendance on the form by March 8th. If you have any doubts, please contact Ellie Young. I wanted to highlight a few initiatives that Wikimedians embarked on the occasion of Wikipedia 15th birthday party. So a few projects hosted very successful campaigns, like Wiki Loves Women hosted a writing challenge on notable African women, which was very successful in English, French, and Armenian, and you can find more on the link there. The Wikipedia Library hosted the campaign One Librarian, One Reference. Imagine a world in which every librarian contributed a reference to Wikipedia. It was very successful. I think over 1,500 references were added to Wikimedia Projects, and the campaign was covered by over 50 blogs in different parts of the world. And finally, and this theme, Wikimedia Argentina launched on Wikipedia's birthday a documentary about what it means to be a Wikipedian, which was watched over 1,000 times already. It's called Soy Wikipedista, I Am a Wikipedian. And it was really highly praised by different community members, so I encourage you to watch it. It's a 10-minute film. It's on Commons as well. And moving on to the next successful program, the Wikipedia Education Program now has a tool that helps volunteers, yay, review the content added by students on Wikimedia projects with WikiComment, which allows to highlight letters, sentences, and paragraphs. This is amazing effort by people who are engaged in the Wikimedia Education Program. And finally, Wikimedia Project milestones. Wikimedia Commons reached 30 million media files, only a month after reaching 25 million. That's million, not thousand. I'm sorry about that. Otherwise, it's like, wow. Japanese Wikipedia reached 1 million articles. Russian Wiktionary 700,000, and Thai Wikipedia reached 100,000 articles. So, congratulations to all the editors who are involved in making this happen. So, without further ado, I think I put on to Tillman.
Not really. Somebody else here?
Hi. If someone can, I'm remote in, if someone can move the slides as I say next, I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Hi, I am Susie Nussel, and I've been engaged to assist with the WMF strategy. Next. As you can see, we are quickly coming to the end of our consultation process, or our whole process for the strategy. And this has been a grounds-up process focused on making impact against key challenge areas. Next. Tomorrow, we will be posting on Meta the community consultation report, specifically the analysis of the strategic approaches, and then we'll also be giving out the summary of recommended strategic priorities. These two documents will be helping us shape the draft strategic plan, which we'll post on March 4th. That's the important date for everyone to take note of. Between March 4th and the 18th, we will be asking for comments to help refine the plan and give us feedback. By April 1st, then the departments will translate that information and submit their annual plans. And that is it. Thank you. Oh, I did want to thank everybody for their active participation. We've had quite a bit of staff participation since December, and over 500 community members participated in the consultation. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Hi there, my name is Tilman Bayer, and I need to find a clicker. So, I'm here to talk about total traffic trends longer term since 2013 in terms of total pages. So I'm analyst in the Wikimedia Foundation's reading team, which cares about our readers. And not to bury the lead, these are the general takeaways. So our total page views are flat to very slightly declining, within a margin of error. But the sky is not falling, but also we are not growing anymore, that's for certain. Mobile, like on the rest of the internet, so rising, desktop is falling. One milestone we had 2 months ago was December 20th, when it was the first ever day that had more mobile pages than desktop, was a Sunday. Our mobile usage on weekends is always higher. And in general, it's still below 50%, but the mobile singularity is coming. Global North is flat. The slight decrease is more pronounced in the Global South. We go more into detail now. Before I do that, some background. So the in 2014 and 2015, the analytics team did a lot of work to improve our page view definition, make it more accurate, filter out what's page views which have been distorting our stats a lot. After that happened, we did a first trend analysis in the December 2014 metrics meeting, if people remember that. So this is basically the update of that. And the second time we do this. So globally, we have in general we had about 16 to 17 billion page views, human page views. So the trend since 2013 is -3%. And again, I have to emphasize some errors here. This is not a big decline. It's totally possible that's even a small increase. I go to the source of uncertainty in the end if I have time. Desktop is -20%. Human is rising 28%, but it's a smaller portion, so it doesn't make up the decline in desktop fully. And okay, now let's look at the charts. The blue line is what we should focus on. That's the total human page views. And you see it's seasonal, right? There are slower months always every year, like July, August, and December is always less page views. But you see one in the middle of last year, more pronounced drop, and there are two events around that which we should call out, which contributed to that. One is that the Chinese Wikipedia was blocked in China after it's been unblocked for several years in May. That's not a big thing overall, but it's 1.5 to 2% drop contributing to this. The second thing is that in June 2015, we converted all our sites to encrypted connections HTTPS to protect the privacy of our users and also to combat censorship. We actually, as an aside, we have some data now showing that we actually, by this, we made some articles and knowledge available in some countries that was not available before. But yeah, there's a nice story behind that. But it also caused a drop for like three main reasons why I did that. Not to go too much into details, but there was an analysis done by Ellery for people who are interested in more detail. But one reason is, of course, that some environments, countries, ISPs, schools, whatever, block encrypted connections. So we lost some users there. The second reason is that there were actually there's some evidence there were undetected bots running over unencrypted connections. So, I mean, again, the page definition is not perfect. There's still some undetected automatic traffic. And we have evidence that we lost some of these. These are not actually humans. The third reason, though, is that on very slow connections, especially in Global South, it can happen that the HTTPS takes a bit longer for the handshake to set up, so we get more timeouts, and that's been a concern. Before we did that, we knew that, we made a decision, but it looks like that contributed to a small drop that we're seeing. Like I said, mobile is increasing, desktop is decreasing, and it looks like we might reach parity sometime this year, maybe. And let's see if I can find the next slide. Yeah, so these are the numbers. I'm not going through all of them for Global North and Global South. I'm just going to call out the Global North is basically flat, but Global South -8%. Again, since 2013 per year. Let's look at the chart. You see that it's actually not such a huge drop for the Global North in mid-2015, which tells us that the two events I was talking about were not happening in Global North. Of course, China's in Global South, and also the HTTPS dropped down. We saw that in the percentages, so the percentage of Global North page views actually rose during that time from 75% to 77, 78%. Yeah, and again, you see for Global South, it's So the drop is here much more pronounced. And another thing to call out is that mobile views are actually stagnating over the last year or so in the Global South. So you can see here in the green line at the bottom. And one last thing, that you also see that bots, so yellow compared to blue, that's bot, and auto crawlers like Googlebot, they are mostly in the Global North. And okay, that's mostly what I want to say about the traffic itself. There's some other remarks I want to say, and small print. First, you may ask what's the effect of search engines, right? And in the last Readership update we did, and we also tracked the number of Google referrals. Unfortunately, we don't have that data now back to 2013. There's no consistent data source. The Discovery team has a really nice dashboard tracking that now. It only goes back to October. Also, Oliver did a nice analysis covering January to August 2015 last year. Some of you may remember there were some media reports that Google referrals are dropping drastically. We could not quite verify that from our own data. But the bigger picture is that there was a bigger decline from 2013 to 2014 on desktop. Since then, it's been more or less, with some fluctuation, stable. And it's general Google referrals are a third of our total traffic, direct referrals. I should also say, so again, this is small print and cover my ass because there's a lot of source of error which we try to minimize, but I just want to say there's a lot of analytics works behind this, not just the new page view definition, but also, for example, the only reason that we can cover these years back to 2013 is that we stitched together two different implementations of the new page view definition, which was quite some work to find out whether they differ or not. So this is also a bit of an estimate. Joseph from the LS team spent a lot of work on that. That's this point. And some other points, that mobile apps were not checked in the last analysis of anybody. If you goes back, the numbers are slightly different because we improved our definition in some respects. And also keep in mind when you look at these numbers that they are averaged since 2013. They're not from the year 2015 to now. Okay, that's mostly what I want to say. Thank you.
My name is Marty Johnson, and I'm the program officer for the individual engagement grants. And I'm going to present today on the results of the fall 2015 open call that we had. A quick introduction for those of you who aren't familiar already with the project. IAG funds individual Wikimedians to experiment with new ideas for improving our projects. We accept new proposals twice a year, and we offer up to $30,000 for individuals or groups of up to 4 to run a 6-month project on the themes of tools, research, online organizing, or offline outreach. We have a really fantastic volunteer committee that makes funding decisions. Before going into the specifics of the fall round, so I mentioned that it's a program to run experiments, and so I want to take a minute to honor the mad scientists responsible for the experiment that is IAG. Zico Bouters created IAG in 2013, and it's been an incredible program, so well designed. I'm particularly in a good place to say how well designed it is, having taken it over from her. Under her management, it launched the Wikipedia Adventure, the Wikipedia Library, Revision Scoring as a Service, Art plus Feminism Global Editathon Series, Medicine Translation Project, Community Organizing, and over 30 other projects. My hands shake when I'm public speaking. So as all of you know, today is Siko's last day. So I just wanted to acknowledge the debt of gratitude we all owe her, not just for IEG, but for many other extremely positive legacies. So thank you, Siko, for leaving such good footsteps for us to follow in. So changes to our eligibility criteria. Before the fall 2015 round, our criteria excluded MediaWiki extensions or software features requiring review and integration. And this exclusion was created from a request from the engineering department in an attempt to protect engineering staff from unplanned workflows supporting grantees. But as you can imagine, we got a lot of frustrated feedback from community developers who wanted to be able to do more. So last summer, Kim Gale helped me out extensively in coming up with new language. And so for the first time in the fall round, we did accept proposals for technical projects requiring review and integration. So thank you to Kim for that. Grantees just have to now show that they have commitment from the related maintainers so that we know that they can complete the project independently. So the results of the fall round, we received a total of 29 eligible proposals, and 14 of those were funded for just over $83,000. Fully half of the grants were technical projects, which I like to think is partially because of the eligibility, although this program has always been a good home for technical projects. And most of the rest of the projects were for offline outreach and partnerships, with one research and one offline organizing project. So now I'm just going to go through 5 of the 14 projects and just highlight some of the things that our community members are doing through this program, focusing on those 2 dominant themes of offline outreach and software. This round we had a lot of offline outreach projects that were targeting very specific populations that are previously pretty untapped as a potential source of volunteer editors. Wikitherapy is bringing Wikimedia projects into therapy settings. The project leader, Mina, is a very experienced teacher in the Wikipedia education program, and now she's partnering with the Adult Daycare Center in Argostoli, Greece, offering high-touch support to teach patients how to edit Greek Wiktionary, Wikiquote, Wikipedia, and Commons. Her program has been receiving very positive media attention in Greece because of its innovative approach to patient care. She meets regularly with a team of psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, and nurses to come up with an individualized curriculum. And basically, she's looking to see whether patient editing in healthcare contexts could improve projects while simultaneously supporting building of skills and building of self-esteem. She keeps a Facebook page. If anybody's interested in this project, her Facebook link is on her meta page. The other one that I'm highlighting today is Senior Citizens Edit Sanskrit Wikipedia. Like Mina, the project leader, Nehal, is offering a very high-touch training, but this time for Sanskrit scholars in a university setting. He thinks that most of the editing done on Sanskrit Wikipedia is done by the younger generation of scholars, but that there's a deep well of knowledge that's held by the older generation of Sanskrit scholars. So he's looking to close that gap to try to offer high-touch training for older scholars that don't always have the same level of computer literacy to get on board. So he's currently has over 25 editors who are practicing in their sandboxes, preparing to move on to articles. There are some great pictures on Nehal's meta pages if you're interested in learning more. These are a pair of software projects that both focus on maps. WikiNeeds Pictures is a mobile-friendly tool that will give users GPS-based information about pictures that have been requested on our projects. So the grantees, Alessio and Alessandro, are looking to scan across all the projects and see what the various ways are that we notify that a project is needed, and bundle all that information on a map. And then you can, eventually, the idea is you'll be able to get their app on your cell phone, and if you're walking by, say, a monument that needs a photo, it will notify you, and you can walk over, snap the shot, and that will help you load the photo onto the article that needs that picture. So I'm really excited actually to get that app, and if you are too, again, you can follow their meta pages. Wikimap's Warper 2.0 is a project that is aiming to make it easier for Wikimedians to play with historical maps as a way of presenting information. It's an existing tool that allows users to scan a historical map and stretch it to match present-day maps so that the layer can be used in various applications and visualizations. And this current round of funding will help them improve that tool so that developers can access it more easily and use its functionalities. Again, these grantees have a lot of information on their meta pages, including their development log and blog posts that you can find on their timeline page. Strep hit Wikidata statements validation via references. This is our most expensive and our most ambitious project this round. The grantee, Marco, describes it as a natural language processing pipeline that seeks to harvest structured data from raw text and produces Wikidata statements with reference URLs. The first time I read that, I was so confused by what that meant. But basically, it's a project to work on verifying the source material of the knowledge that we have. And when I talked with Leela during the due diligence phase, she told me that it's addressing one of the holy grail questions of our movement right now, and that even if the project fails, the learning would be more than worth the price. He's built a very robust collaborative team for himself, and he has identified 3 candidate domains that he'll use: biographies, companies, and biomedical literature. And as of his most recent update, his development corpus is going strong with about 700,000 items scraped from 50 sources. So Marco, especially if this is a project that interests you, he's doing a great job keeping his meta pages up to date, and he has YouTube videos about his presentation and documentation on GitHub. So if this is a project that excites you, there's a lot of material there. So there are 9 other projects that you can learn about from the fall 2015 round, and then a number of other projects from previous rounds that are still open. So if you're interested in getting more involved, this program is a really great way to have a positive encounter with community members. We encourage all of our grantees to work with volunteer advisors who give maybe an hour or 2 of their time. If this interests you, no matter what your skills are, we can probably use them. So you can shoot me an email if you want more information. Our next round is coming up. We'll launch our Idea Lab campaign in the next few days, and then we'll start taking applications for the spring 2016 round on March 14th through April 12th, and we expect to announce our next batch of grantees on June 17th. So thanks everyone.
Hello? Oh, wow. So, I think I do, yeah. So the term tough act to follow comes to mind. I have a couple slides, actually, we're going to show first before we dive into them. Sorry about that. So while it's getting set up, I'm Joshua Miner. I'm the product manager on the iOS team within the reading group. And I'm going to do the product demo of the upcoming Wikipedia Mobile major upgrade that we've been working on for 4 or 5 months now, too long. So this is a totally new version of the app. You guys have probably seen some previous announcements about this, or maybe seen the lightning talk that I gave a couple months ago, but we're getting really close to releasing it. And I'm really excited to show you guys what we've done and get it out there for our users. So 2 key changes I wanted to highlight were Basically, totally new look and feel. Katie and Nirzar put a ton of time and love into making the app look beautiful and be easier to use and very iOS friendly. And then another major area that we've been working on is what we call the Explorer screen, which is basically a mobile vertical scrolling presentation of a diverse array of content from across Wikipedias and other projects. It includes personal recommendations based on what you've read, featured articles that we all know and love, geotagged articles near your location, and lots more. I'll dive in to what that is as we get into the demo. So when's it coming out? We have been through about a 2-month beta process, and we are just wrapping up bugs basically at this point. We're aiming to submit to Apple early next week, which would mean it would be in the App Store probably the week after. We're currently working with comms on kind of the exact launch timing and publication stuff. We've also been working with design research and getting a lot of feedback from our beta testers, and most of it has been extremely positive, which is awesome. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to join us in our IRC channel, email me, email the team. We usually use Mobile L for public patients, so it's also a great place. All right, and that's not for the fun part. Brendan's going to switch me over. Live demo, by the way, so fair warning. Cool. So when you launch the app for the first time, we created a new onboarding experience that gives you a little bit of a welcome and explanation about the new Explore feature. Then you're welcome to set up your primary languages. We really wanted in this version to emphasize the multilingual aspect of Wikipedia and make it easy to access different Wikipedias in different languages. And I'll show you a couple other examples of that, but this is just helping you get set up. And then last but not least, we invite you to volunteer by sharing your data with us. And this is a little bit of a change from the existing app, which is an opt-out analytics experience that's hidden in the settings screen. We thought we would upfront it and kind of pitch it to people as a way to help the movement rather than something that we hide. So once you're done with that, you get thrown into our Explore screen. So as I mentioned, there's when you get the app first installed, there's a ton of awesome content for you to browse through. We have our today's featured article, powered by the awesome analytics team's page views API. We have the most read for yesterday. We have a quick link to your main page for your language. So in English, that's not that useful because most of the content is extracted into the feed, but if you're a user of another language, your main page is less developed or is used for other purposes. Am I losing? This is like a quick link for you to do that. We have this beautiful picture of the day today that comes from Commons. We have everybody's favorite random article. One of my favorite things with random, I found a new game I found online, which is clicking random until you find something you actually already know something about, and counting how many times it takes you to get to an article you're familiar with. So I have no idea who Charles Tabbitt is. Let's see. And as you can see, I can just touch the refresh, and I can keep going until I get something or somebody that I'm interested in reading about. And then last but not least, one of our favorite features that people love about the mobile app is the nearby articles. So you get not only articles tagged near your location, but animation's not looking great on the stream, but you can get your heading and distance, so you can actually use the feature to actually go to the monuments near you that you might want to check out after you've read about them. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of these features. I love this picture of the day today, so I'm going to make it real big. One of the other nice things about the picture of the day gallery is that you can actually swipe back through the previous pictures of the day. And of course, you can always do mobile-y things like tap and zoom. We also spent a ton of time on the reading experience. So I'm going to click through on today's featured article. We cleaned up the article presentation to make it a little bit easier to read on mobile. We also added a lot of touch-friendly things like our slide-out table of contents. We added new footers that include a lot more present information about article information, like article issues and edit history, and a nice mobile-friendly presentation. And we also added some tools that are quick access, so you can switch the language right from the article and see what other languages the article's available in. You can share the article, and of course you can save it to read offline for later. And one of the other major changes we made is in the navigation. So now not only are these things available to you with one touch, but Your saved articles are available with one touch, and your history as well. And you can do some nice other iOS navigation things. So we implemented link preview as on Android, but we use the Apple built-in 3D touch. So I can take a quick peek at the wide-eyed River Martin, and then I can push through if I'm interested in the article. Oops, you can get a nice gallery. And one thing about the Explore feed is that as you use it, it kind of builds up more towards your interests. So when I go back now, because I've read about the African River Martin, when I refresh the feed, I get recommendations for similar articles. So that's neat. And then last but not least, of course, is search. As I mentioned, it's a live demo, so we have a little bit of a visual issue in this build, but you can see you can run a search with one touch. And then if you want to look at what it looks like in another language, you just hit the tab. Not interested in Crisis on Infinite Earths in Russian, so I can go back to English and peek it. Oh, yep, that looks interesting. Not at all relevant. And then last but not least, if you don't have a language you particularly want to search in, you can search in the international language of emojis. One of my favorite things that we discovered in doing this is that our volunteers have put in redirects for pretty much every emoji, and they go to like meaningful pages. Searching for poop, for example, goes to the feces article. So that about wraps up the demo. I'm happy to answer more questions or talk about stuff. We have pages on MediaWiki, on our product page, on our team's page, and like I said, I'm happy to chat more about any of this later on. Thank you for your attention.
So we are fantastically on time. We have about 10 minutes for Q&A. Do we want to start with IRC?
Hi there. So I've got a couple of questions. So the first one I'll do to Josh because he's in the middle of taking off his microphone. So that seems most fun. Which was from
He's
Matt
ready.
Martin.
He's totally ready.
And he said, this recommendation set of things, does that use the same API as the content translation system for recommendations, or is that different?
No, it uses the Cirrus Moorlike function. So it just runs a query basically for the article that you read. And so we're not building profiles, or we didn't build any new recommendation system specifically for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
and I forgot to say, if you are in the room and you want to ask a question, you can stand at the mic over there so people can see you on the video, and we have an actual queue.
Okay, I've got another one for you, Amanda. Yeah, I know. Pine asked if you could talk for a minute about your recent improvements in Wikimetrics.
Yeah, so this is not at all part of our official agenda, but it is a really cool project that we have been working on. Analytics and my learning and evaluation team have been working on a much easier way to calculate the global metrics that are used in grants reporting without actually having to go through the whole Wikimetrics process. So we're calling it the magic button, mostly because I'm bad at naming things. But if you want to take a look at it, you can search on Meta for magic button, and I think it's actually the second result. And yeah, basically you input a list of usernames, the start date and end date of your program or event or meetup or whatever you want to do. And it gives you newly registered editors, active editors, bytes added or removed, articles created, and articles improved, which I know has been a really hard thing for meetups to track, all in one report. So it used to take me, using Wikimetrics, about 5 minutes to run those global metrics for an event, and I have run thousands of global metrics reports using Wikimetrics, and now it takes about 30 seconds or a minute. So it's pretty cool. Just check it out.
Hello. I have a question about the iOS app. So you said about the Explore screen. First of all, awesome. It looks really good.
iOS. Too close. Yeah.
So it looks really good.
Thank you.
But you said something about the Explore screen, and maybe I misunderstood, but I'd love more information. You said that they kind of like adjust to your behavior. Can you explain that a little bit? And do we do that while, like, how do you do that?
It's very limited right now. So as it's kind of similar to the previous question. Basically, we're just using your search history or your read history and articles that you save and running more like queries and then populating the feed with those. So we're not doing right now. We're not doing any sophisticated machine learning or like anything like that. We are interested in potentially doing that, but right now we're just trying to put a basic version out there and see what.
But where is that information stored? That's what I'm.
Oh, that information is stored on device. I mean, there's no central profile. We don't keep like it's just a straight up query to the API basically.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, I'm Adam White. I just wanted to celebrate all the fantastic consultations that we're doing, and it seems like there's more and more of them lately. So it's really exciting that we're evolving to this point where we're trying to do more direct democracy around writing our own work. And at the same time, I wanted to call out a potential issue for discussion that that when we do things like that, when we ask for people's qualitative responses, it's kind of unfair for us to put those into categories that we predetermine and then say it's suddenly a voting process, and that we count the number of responses that mention each thing and say that, oh, hey, look, the people's will is this. I just want to maybe help start the conversation that we should distinguish between those processes, and we should maybe be more deliberate about the direct democracy sort of experiments we're doing. And like if something is actually going to be decision making and voting, we should say so ahead of time. We should say, okay, it's really important that we get a representative group of participants. These are the rules about how voting works, rather than just have it be ad hoc, and then if the result's kind of what we want, then we say, people say yes. That's all. Just a discussion point.
Hey, I just wanted to ask everybody who has an iOS device. Can I just get a hand? And who is on the iOS app beta? Whoever's not on the iOS app beta, ping Josh, get the app. It's beautiful. Like, just check it out. It's really, really nice.
Thanks, Moise.
If there are any other questions, now is the time. If not, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, everybody. Bye.